So we continue with part 2. As the phone dropped, to apologize. So here we go. We were saying that the federal mint and those who create the US dollars are not Osama bin Laden in a cave, or Saddam Hussein, or anybody other than the government, which has now become a domestic terrorist organization. Obviously, the evidence is in front of you. A government who prints bills with black magic across them and sacrificial events upcoming within the next year, 1 year ahead of time, and involves the whole population in energizing the event. Now, when we turn these over, which I'm going to do for you very shortly, you'll see that on the other side, I'm just flipping them over for you, was the other part of this sacrifice and this event. So if you just look down here, look carefully, you'll see the Pentagon's demise, or the setup and the blast in the Pentagon. Of course, it was in the area that was under construction, so it didn't matter. It was going to be redone anyway. So look at that Pentagon. You see, look carefully. Oh, maybe they're upside down. Hang on, folks. Let me turn them over for you. And do excuse my cat. He's having a good fun time jumping around and trying to get the crystal forming rainbows from the sunlight. Right, I have them the right way up now. Do excuse me. And there we go. So you can see the demise of the Pentagon, or the impact of the so-called incoming missile, which was probably just an explosion. No incoming missile whatsoever. It was a set demolition and explosion in the area that was being worked on. Can you see it, folks? Look at it. There's the Pentagon. That's the towers. It's the burnt down Pentagon. You zoom yourselves in and look carefully. What I've been showing you, folks, is that the dollar bills were set up, were constructed, were formed in a ritualistic, pentagrammic, black talismanic form by an occult that runs the USA and runs the world, or are trying to gain world domination. That's the proof of that one. Of course, the other PSYOPs continue to develop and continue to be developed into agendas and then continue to be played out. The PSYOP at the recent moment that we just saw was called the Nicola Bully case, and it's become very obvious that they're pushing towards social debiting system and the introduction of Serco, which is the company that ran track and trace over the CV bioweapon genocide attack on humans. And now they're trying to implement the new systems and the NWO through the WEF and the WHO, and through NATO and the UN and UNICEF and BRICS, and they've got all these different abbreviations basically for all these world companies that are developing to basically become the New World Order and the One World Government. So that's where they're trying to take you, folks. And the newest agenda is in France, of course. Do excuse me. With the poor lad Nahal. Now, nobody knows whether Nahal is a complete PSYOP, in other words, a digital creation, or whether Nahal is a real boy. Nobody knows whether Nicola Bully was a real woman or not. But probably not in either case, because these are the cases that have been selected or these are the PSYOPs that have been created. That's the only difference. Either it's a case, something that occurs, and rest in peace, Nahal, if you've been murdered. We're really, really wrong. That's wrong. And a PSYOP is being created off it, or an event, or it's just a digital creation and there's no real human. It's just a crisis actors that play out the part for the video, and the rest is all digital information, i.e. lies online lies, propaganda, smoke and mirrors, brainwashing and coercing you into believing things that are not true. So here's the thing, folks. The recent uproar in France with the young Muslim lad Nahal, that was simply done, and he wasn't a black lad or a white lad or an Indian lad, because recently in the past years France has been allowing the Muslims to settle in a certain area. I believe not given the same rights as the French, etc., and not treated very well, and so on and so forth. And therefore, this uprising has been on the cards. Any mistreated culture will uprise against the mistreatment and those mistreating them. It happened all across the world, obviously. You can only push people so far. But this is meant because the Muslims are on the brink of uprising. If you act out or literally do kill a Muslim young boy, you're going to spark an uprising. But if that's what you want, a rebellion and riots, so you have reason to legal, in inverted commas, legal reasons, to then make governmental statutes, acts and legalities and legislation against the people further and further, until you give yourself authority, more security, more abilities, more legal ability to behave with more force against the people, all the way to martial law, introduction of the military to go to war with the civilians, in civilian war on the streets, which is where France is at. Now, if France is simply the beginning, the first country, which it is, to implement this behavior, then you're going to see this kind of thing spreading through different countries in the world. Now, each country is being pushed and forced and annoyed into reacting, whether it be through starvation, through murder, through fake earthquakes bringing down buildings and causing construction. So that's weather engineering, geoengineering, climate engineering, tectonic plate shift engineering. So you're talking about basically the engineering and the use of energy in a very negative way, i.e. HARP technology to affect weather patterns and seismic patterns, i.e. earthquakes and tsunamis. Yes, folks, tsunamis and earthquakes these days aren't particularly or natural. They are caused, ignited, formed, created. They are a weapon, literally a geo-weapon against the people, one that you would only blame nature for. Remember, these people are anti-nature. These are the city dwellers. These are the civilized creators. They create civilizations, and they fuel those civilizations with people to work for them. So they enslave a race to function their civilization, to get them to the next point. Yes, folks, when they wanted gold, you mined it for them. When they wanted cities and machinery, you entered the industrial age and you constructed it for them. When they wanted computers to then automate those machines that you constructed? You constructed the computers for them. When they wanted the technology and the ideas to run those computers and the gigabytes and the fiber optics and the Wi-Fi, you constructed it for them. And when they put that together, the robots, the computers and the machines, they created robots. Automated humans. Intellectual humans that don't say no or get sick, and that have zero emotional intellect. No rebellion. Those are much better. That's an upgrade of a servant. That's a much better servant to the masters. That's all you were. You were servants to the masters, but you just made yourselves obsolete. You out-automated yourselves. You created robots that do a better job than you do. And those robots are creating robots by the million which do better jobs than you do. That's called obsolescence. There's no more necessity for you. That's called stupidity. But you did it. And you thought it was great. You thought it was a fantastic idea. And you're still doing it. And you still think it's a fantastic idea. The only way the New World Order is dominating you through the World Health Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, NATO, BRICS, and that drops down then into the deep states, which is basically the Umbrella Group, the Bilderberg Group, all run under BlackRock, States, Vanguard, the top corporate companies, those three that I just mentioned, BlackRock, Vanguard and States, those three corporations run everything. And the Bilderberg Group and the Umbrella Group drop down from that. Then you go into Davos and you've got all your characters that you know in this world that play out the prince and princess, king and queen, and CEO, general director positions around the world of the World Health Organization, the WEF, BRICS, everything, all of them. These are the people running your corporate world by money. Now here's the little problem. Up until now you had some liberty and freedom in that, but that was all the plan. And then it went into credit cards and now it's gone into Bitcoin, digital currency. Folks, as soon as you accept all the bonuses and the money making that you can do, the hedge funding, the money making you can do in Bitcoin and through different digital currencies and options, you will go for them because you want to be wealthy. There will be great offers out there, more and more so. But once you're on digital currency, most of you will think, great, I don't have to carry money around anymore, don't have to lose my card, nobody can steal it, I've got my digital number, it's all safe and sound. I've got my code, bingo. And that's all true. The thing is, they've also got your code. Just like the bank could always say to you at any point, sorry, we've sensed fraud within your account, we're shutting it down, you're not getting your money, we're going to call the police and you're going to have a criminal investigation. They can still do that, but there's no human to talk to, there's no body to ask, there's no complaint to be made, there's no complaint form, there's no nothing at all. If the social debiting system of Serco, the company controlling the incoming social debiting system called the social crediting system from China, but that's again a PSYOP. It's not going to socially credit you with fuck all. It's going to socially debit you every single time you speak against the state. As soon as you voice your opinion or have a freedom of voice that's not within alignment with the state, like the Nazis and Hitler, you will be penalized. The ultimate penalization is lockdown. You don't leave your home. You are under house arrest. under martial law, which has just been implemented in France and is planned to be implemented through the rest of the Western world. Yes, folks. Your imminent lockdown under martial law is what's wanted. And how hard you fight against that is dependent on what you will experience as freedom and not freedom. It's definitely time for everybody to stand up against what is a clear and obvious attack on the servants by the masters and their corporations and militaries, etc., police, etc., statutes, legislation, acts, etc. What we have in our favour, folks, is what's called common law against these legislations, acts and statutes, what's called legality, admiralty law. We have what's called common law, law of the land, against law of the sea, admiralty law. You have these two laws. Well, one's laws and one's legalities, acts and statutes. So, the law of the land, common law, created by the 24 noblemen in 1215 under King John. So, on the 15th of the 6th, 1215, I think was the date, yes, was created the Magna Carta, the law, the servant's law, the slave's law, the peasant's law. And the law was very basic. It only had, fun enough, 3 points. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not do any harm or injury to anybody else, and thou shalt not steal, take anybody's things, wife, possessions. And some of those 3 laws go over into the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal. So some of the common law is in common sense, is in the 10 Commandments. And that's all one needs as a human, is not to cause any injury, harm, or loss to your brethren or sisterin, to your fellow human. Act in a human, righteous, moral, ethical, respectful way. All of us, and everything will be fine. No problem. That is the only law that's necessary, and that is the only genuine law, the only law of energy, the common law, the law of how community works, humanity works, a group works. So, the other side is admiralty law, law of the sea. Now, most creatures, other than sea creatures, are born on land. Like animals are born on land, so humans are born on land. So you have the law of the land. So your human body is bound to common law, the law of the land. Thou shalt not cause harm, injury, or loss to any other fellow human. Finished. One sentence. Done. It's easy. Live by that, everybody. Done. Simple. Common law. What's interesting about that date, of course, the 15th of the 6th, 1215, is that in some relative way, that date becomes 666666, which is a little bit disturbing, being that 15, 1 and 5 is 6, and being that 6 is obvious it's 6, and then being that 12 can be divided by 2, that's 6, and then being another 15 is 6, so you got a lot of 6's in there, you see. But the Magna Carta stands to reason, and to this day it stands, but can in some places like Jersey be denounced at the Attorney General level, and that's where your common law status basically stops. You can take your common law status legally to the level in Jersey of the Attorney General, and then he will denounce it and say that it's non-recognized here. But at least you've put forward that you recognize it. Doesn't matter that he doesn't recognize it. How it is in other countries with common law and where you can get to what status with that I'm seen little on, but I'm unsure of. How it works in the UK I'm slightly unsure of too. On the admiralty law side, on the law of the sea, you are birthed, not born. So this is a different language called legalese. Okay, and works on this whole side of things from your birth certificate, not your certificate of being born on the land. Your birth certificate. A boat is birthed. So you're birthed into the ocean, into the harbor. The harbor is the hospital. So that's the harbor of the vessel, which is your body when it's born. And then you are certified with the number of your birthing. So a birth certificate, your birth number to birth your vessel in the harbor. By the certificate with your name in capital letters, you create what's called a legal fiction. So a legal document which is referred to for the rest of your life as you the human, which is not you the human, it's just your name, the name that you've been given on your birth and the number you've been given at your birth. That name and number is as bound to you as the name and number given to your birthing spot of your yacht in the harbor for a couple of years until you go to another harbor or go out to sea. You are not bound by your name nor your number nor your birth certificate. It's absolutely meaningless to your human body and your life. But it's the corporate legal fiction, the corporate straw man, scarecrow, shadow, the corporate shadow of your human self. It's your shadow self. So in a corporate function, every time you are asked to identify yourself, and do so by saying, my name is the name on your birth certificate, you admit to being the legal fiction, the scarecrow, and therefore you can be punished by legislation, which is legality, legal. Legalities, legislation, acts and statutes. So every single thing that the admiralty law, the law of the sea, the deep state, the anti-naturists, the civilization creators and civilian enslavers, the masters, every time they refer to you by your name, ask you to identify yourself, and usually it's through the police that they ask you to do this, you are then taking on your legal fiction and playing their game. You are contracting with the corporation who gave you your birth number, your barcode. They stamped you as you do when you go in prison or a cow gets branded. Your branding number you are accepting and abiding to under your name and that number that applies to your name, your birth certificate. Once you take 18 years to grow in that harbour. You become a merchant sailor. And then you are allowed to move out into the world, out of the harbour, onto the seas, and trade under your corporate number and name, your merchant trading certificate, your birth certificate, your legal fiction, your straw man, your scarecrow, your shadow figure, your ghost. And the rest of your life you go about on the seas, on the open seas, the open world, and trade, do business, and are taxed for it through your name, your number, your legal fiction. And you comply. And the only reason you can be taxed or be punished through your legal fiction, through your name, is with your consent. If you admit to being that person, you can then be punished or treated in any way according to legality, statutes and acts that is according to the legality, statutes and acts. Your legal fiction, your scarecrow, your shadow figure is not yours, it's theirs. They created it for you. Your human body is yours. You created that for 9 months in the womb. That's your property. So, whenever a police officer asks you, do you understand? They are asking you to stand under legalities, statutes and acts. They are asking you to stand under their law, Admiralty law, the law of the sea, under which you can be punished in the courts, their courts. So the answer is always no. I do not understand. We stand equal. And the next answer is, I do not contract. I do not understand you or your corporation, and I do not contract with you or your corporation. Good day, and on you go. Anything beyond that is a beginning of infringements upon your human right. And then you can begin, you can start videoing the infringements of your human rights, and then that person can be charged. Police officer, doesn't matter who it is. They'll be charged under infringing upon your human rights. Nothing to do with your shadow figure and their contractual issue. As long as you have not caused injury, harm or loss to any other human, you are lawfully in your right to simply not contract and not stand under, as below, as a lesser figure of anybody. No matter what officiality they have, it's all to your birth certificate. It all is to your legal fiction. It all is to your number and your consent to play within the corporation. If you do not go and get a job within a corporation, that corporation cannot fire you because you weren't in the corporation, can they? If you do not get a job in a corporation, that corporation cannot abuse you or underpay you because you are not in the corporation. I'm not saying you don't need a job. I'm giving you an example of how a corporation cannot abuse you if you do not allow them, if you do not consent to the abuse, by not taking part. Abstinence. It's simple. You abstain from corporate interaction. In that way, you remain human and non-corporate. So you are not acting under your shadow figure, your legal fiction. In a way, you can choose to shadow ban your shadow. It's quite a good use for shadow banning. So that's how Admiralty law, law of the sea, corporate law that the police enforce for the government who practice corporate law under the deep state or the New World Order, which is all about and based on corporate law. That's why when you're called to court or you're invited to court, you simply abstain. You simply do not consent. You do not contract. You simply refuse the invitation and just turn it down. No, thank you. Thanks for your invitation, but no thank you. Simple, that's it. There's nothing more to say. That's under your human self. Of course, if you sign the papers with your name on it, you're consenting. So, and anything that you have to consent to, in other words, that you're forced to sign, simply write VIA via cactus, CACTUS, via cactus, under duress in Latin. Sign across it, your name, your signature, across via cactus, under duress. And this, under common law, excuses you from your corporate interaction because you were forced. You were made to contract with the corporation under duress by being forced. So basically, your greatest form of power is non-consent, non-consensual behavior. To understand, firstly, the corporation, that the corporation exists, the corporation, and all corporations, minor corporations, exist under the major corporation. And that every single human is a part of that corporation under their legal fiction, their straw man, their scarecrow, their shadow figure, their ghost, which is the name in capital letters on your birth certificate, which has a number. That number is a stock market number, and you are traded on by the corporation. You are an asset to them. They expect you to become you are an investment, and they expect you to become an asset at 18 and to earn them a lot of money, which is the game, money. There are other games being played involved in this, but that's the monopoly is the game, isn't it? Of course, it's also the distraction to the human domination game, which is the real game. It's actually what's happening with human consciousness and human bodies. But that's for another video. This is just to show you how you can, within civilization, protect yourself from the corporate onslaught, which is basically life at the moment. It used to be nature. Your scariest thing would be a tiger or a lion or a panther attacking you, and you would have your ways: run, hide, jump, fight, whatever, use weapons. But this is corporate onslaught. This is a technological onslaught. This is an AI robotic onslaught. And the reason why I mention the AI is because with ChatGPT, and of course AGI, the artificial general intelligence, everything is sped up. Everything is speeding up rapidly. So all sorts of PSYOPS and behaviors against the public are becoming extremely complex and extremely rapidly carried out, one after the next. Like the PSYOPs are just back to back now. And it's basically to get the public to react for the reasons of the PSYOP, the problem, reaction, solution. A PSYOP, a psychological operation on the mind, is there to form a problem, so that you ask for a certain reaction, which is given as the solution, and the government then gets what they want. For instance, they tell you there's a big problem. We have a CV outbreak, viral outbreak, danger, 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 and they give you a video from Wuhan to show you how scary and dangerous it is, to scare you into submission. Reaction: don't worry, we'll help you. It's so dangerous, it's so deadly. We'll give you masks and tests and set up places where you can come and check that you're fine. And we'll be checking on you, of course, and poisoning you with the things that we're telling you that are actually helping you to test whether you're poisoned or not. By our poison, which we gave you in the first place, telling you it was an accidental outbreak, of course, and blaming it on China. But that's all a PSYOP too, because we need to blame it on China, because at the moment we need to see China as the villain. Because in the future we have plans for China and what they're going to do and how they're going to play out in this World Economic Forum, which is what life is at the moment. It's a World Economic Forum. And economy is running the show. Big economy, corporate economy, multinational businesses buying up all the little people and businesses and land. Big Brother, the New World Order, the Masonic Masters. Those, the hand. Those hands around your throat that are taking your breath away. Those hands that are choking the life out of you and your children. See that hand at the throat of your child, choking your child, and your child screaming, "Mommy, mommy, help! Daddy, daddy, help!" Mommy and daddy are standing in handcuffs, shackled. No help, no chance. You have no chance. Your children are being murdered, raped, pillaged, trafficked, locked up, held hostage, abused. Their minds have been indoctrinated with sexuality, sexual behaviors of adults. Even the purest, normal, procreative sexual behaviors of adults have no place in the minds of children. That's why they're called children. When they post-pubescent and they begin to understand all sorts of things and grow into a mature state at somewhat 18, 20, whatever, all good and well. But the profanity and the behavior being portrayed as education through the schools now to our children under the banner of the LGBT PSYOP, gay pride. That is complete insanity. And there's nothing against LGBT members or your sexuality or gender, but the corporate banner of LGBT is just as good as the corporate banner of Black Lives Matter or any other pensions, pandemics, or any other PSYOP being played out. And they have a reason. Every PSYOP has a reason. There's no reason to spend billions on a psychological operation on humanity. There's a reason for it. Black Lives Matter is to annoy every other race that their lives don't matter and to cause racial tension and racial war. LGBT is to cause gender war. War against all genders. Once you have gender war and racism war, there's not many groups left to have war amongst, are there? That's pretty much done it. But of course you'll throw in the medical war just in case anybody has, they want to, have a medical discussion or argument. We'll just throw in the medical. You can all decide whether it's good or bad to have this lethal injection. You can see how the PSYOPs are to divide and rule. Problem, reaction, solution. We give you a problem, you call for a reaction, and we give you the solution. Bingo, baby, every time. Let's point them out. Carbon emissions. Too much carbon in the atmosphere. We're polluting the atmosphere. We need to deregulate, downgrade the carbons. So let's go for zero carbon dioxide emissions. Carbon dioxide is the fuel and the life force of the plants of nature. So let's kill off all of nature by starving it of its oxygen. Well, in this case, it's carbon dioxide. Just as it would be to starve the animals of oxygen in it. So zero carbon emissions, Greta Thunberg, will kill off nature. So when you're screaming that we should save the dolphins and save the nature and shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that, and support climate change initiative by zero carbon emissions, well, you are cancelling the breath of nature, the breath of the plants, the breath of all those plants that make oxygen for all those animals and dolphins to breathe. So you're not right. What they've told you, your propaganda, your brainwashing, what they've told you is not right. It's called cognitive dissonance. They've scared you so much that you can't think straight, Greta. So you need to go back to your operators, your daddy, your mommy, the grandpa, whoever telling you to do what you're doing and paying you all the money to do what you're doing. You need to go and tell them they're not right. They're wrong. And you now understand, and they can stick their money up their arse. And you should go and do something good for the world and for all the children, because people know you now. So do that, Greta. Do that for Sweden. No. Do that for the humanity. If you don't mind. Sitting in front of Parliament with a board supporting the New World Order is what we call a minion or a puppet or a mascot for the deep state, for the New World Order, for the devil. So please, Greta Thunberg, stop sitting in front of the devil's chambers at Parliament speaking for the devil. Let's rather you go and speak the truth, that climate change is bullshit. It's complete and utter manipulation of the population for corporate gain by the New World Order. Good luck, Greta, with breaking your hypnosis. It's called mass formation. They're hypnotizing your brain. Electric cars, folks, is built on that exact concept. Carbon emissions. Let's bring down carbon emissions. Let's have electric cars. Well, China already went through the electric car thing. They created millions of electric cars, and they tried to have electric cars. And what you found was the lithium battery, once it becomes old and dysfunctional in a couple of years, is more expensive to replace than the electric car. So China now has electric car graveyards of hundreds and thousands, perhaps millions of electric cars, because people throw them away. It's a throwaway car. It's a throwaway society. How is that better for the natural world to pile up pyramids and pyramids of used civilian junk, from a civilized society, used junk? They tried the EV bikes that we have in Jersey. They tried the electric bikes. China has millions and millions of bicycles on a bicycle graveyard, all piled up, dysfunctional, didn't work. Electric everything, it just doesn't work. Those lithium batteries, they're deadly. Once they set alight, you can't put them out. They need to burn out. Psychological operations where they tell you there's a pandemic and you need a vaccine. No. They're giving you a lethal injection. Psychological operations where they want you to have electric world due to carbon reduction. No. Climate change. You are causing the climate to change. No. Not happening. It's not your fault, folks. It's all been blamed on you. It's not your fault. You didn't create the civilization. They did. You didn't create a civilized world, they did. You didn't create a corporate world, they did. You didn't ask to play in the money game. You got born into it. They created it. It's not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. They are. Them, they. Klaus Schwab's. Bill Gates. Anthony Fauci. Tedros Adhanom. George Soros. The 13 families we've all been studying for so long that are ruling the world, including the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. All coming originally from the Gothenburgs and the German sector. The whole royal family of England, all of it, folks, all traces back Germanic. The same old Nazi idea being played out corporately. Not a shot fired, but lots of gigahertz. Oh yeah. 5G, human neuro network stimulation, activation, defunction, control of the neural network of humanity. Brainwashing, neuro-linguistic programming, predictive programming, making you do what they want you to do very easily, just like that. On a mass formation, a mass hypnotic scale. That's where we're at, folks. The best thing you can do is wake up out of it. Start to learn about it, recognize it, wake up out of it. Learn psychological operations that are occurring on humanity. Learn what's happening. Look for the keys. Look out for the keys, and you will know that they're opening another psychological box. What are the keys? Emotional manipulation. Whenever they start to tap into your emotions, a young boy, a Muslim boy, so when they start to go with the political agendas that are out there at the moment, like Muslim migration, Black Lives Matter, LGBT, pension funds, pandemics, those are about 5 top at the moment psychological operations occurring on humanity simultaneously. So as soon as they start pushing you on those issues, know that they are using it as a psychological operation, using the group, using the people in the group to function a psychological operation, an agenda, an event that can then be shown on the national media channels which they own. They are part of the psychological operation, so that you can then be informed via these media channels of what's going on, so you can play your part. And all of it is an operation on your mind. MK Ultra, it's a mind control operation, so that you will react accordingly. You will consent and react. The only power any psychological operation has on humanity is your reaction. Remember, it's problem, reaction, solution. They're going to cause a problem regardless. You can't stop it. But you can control your reaction by not asking for their solution. When a problem arises and a reaction is called for, do not react. Do not call for their solution, the deep state solution, the New World Order solution, the corporate solution. Rather act by seeing, noting, and understanding what they are doing and acting against it wisely. That will be the new solution. That will be the new world you're looking for, without any order, Remember, nature doesn't have order. Nature is ordered chaos. Nature has no straight lines or angles to order it. It's a complete wavelength of feminine divine expression in a wonderful fauna and floric system. Ordered chaos, chaotic order. It works perfectly, in perfect harmony, in symbiosis, biodegradable symbiosis, a perfect continuum, a wonderful, wise creation. Not that of civilization, which is not a wise creation. It's a dominant force. It's a dominant idea. It's a domination tactic. It's a male-dominant invasion. It's a slave-master, a master-slave system. It's not nature. It's anti-nature. Start to notice the keys that open the boxes of PSYOPS. Notice the PSYOPs that are being used at the moment. At the moment, child trafficking and Black Lives Matter are making the forefront of the PSYOPs again, because the American elections are coming up, and they use the same Black Lives Matter through BlackRock and child trafficking through Act Blue. These were the corporations that funded the voting campaigns of Biden and Trump through these two groups, the child trafficking and the Black Lives Matter. So they're rising again because they want again, the elections are coming up. So you can see slowly as you watch, folks, when the PSYOPs rise and they ask for support, then the elections are coming. And when different PSYOPs arise, there's different reasons that need to be obtained. But they're only obtainable by your reaction and their solution. Do not react. Do not accept their solution. Just act. Take action. Your life. Act as a human in your life. Do not act as a corporate scarecrow or a legal fiction in their lives. That's what a human is. That's what being human's all about. That's why we have human rights. Because you're a human. The legality, statutes and acts, the corporate rights, are lesser, like cybogenics or cyber-organisms or cybergenetic organisms, or accepting a chip or anything in your arm to make you feel better or be better. No, you are human. You are the best. You are the top tech. Human consciousness, human intuition, human perception, human psychic behavior is top tech. No AI, no matter what, has top tech. No AI has intuition, perception, and psychic ability. No AI is a creator of its reality. Only humans create their reality. AI's reality is a clone of human consciousness. AI is cloning human consciousness and humans. It is it is lesser, it is technology, it is not biology. We are electromagnetic biology that way surpasses electromagnetic technology. We are carbon-based. Technology is silicone-based. These are two opposites on the elemental scale. We are at war with technology as biology. We must win, or it will be our total demise. It would be intelligent to work away from technology now. It would be most intelligent to throw away the phones and the screens and to reject every single thing that comes through them because it's for your manipulation. The phone, the laptop, the iPad, the TV are for your manipulation. They are not for your recreation. You have been deceived. May you wake up and realize your deception and welcome yourself to your life. Good luck, folks. I hope you see that in America the Constitution was based on consciousness and is for the people, by the people. And legislation, acts and statutes are against the people, by the corporation. And that's worldwide. Let's wise up, folks. Love and light. Keep it real.